This is the fairly nearly fairly current show.
Popteevee. Again, you say.
Hi Janet, welcome to the Fairly Current Show.
Hi Fahmi, thanks for having us. Oh, having me. My colleague who's
Well,
here. So, yeah.
you and the book and your colleague as well.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about Urban Odysseys, KL Stories, which is edited by Janet Tay and Eric Forbes. And so, Janet, tell us a little bit about what is it about KL and cities in general that becomes kind of like a repository of stories.
Well, I think before I go into KL specifically, I think cities have always been very sort of inspirational for filmmakers, for writers. Mainly because it's big, I guess. It's big, there are many people, so there are many aspects and so many parts of a city that you can make stories out of. So, of course, with this book, we were hoping that, like any other city, there'll be, your bright lights, what everybody likes. Like when they come to the city, they're thinking, oh, it's so glamorous, the shopping centers are wonderful, the clubs and all that. But of course, we also wanted that contrast, which is the seedy areas, the
nice smell of the sungai after the rain.
something like that, and the poor, I mean, people think that the city is so wonderful, but that we mustn't forget that, they are the very rich, but they're also the very poor. And it's a city is a really tough place if you don't make it, or if you don't have as much money as the well-to-do.
What was the process of selecting the stories like? I mean, you wanted that sense of a contrast, but can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Okay, to be honest, we don't have like a strict sort of a list of criteria. We don't have a checklist to say, oh, it must have this and that. I think we try to keep it simple as long as our priority was to feature good writing. But at the same time, we also wanted relevant themes. So it's a bit difficult, but we had to find sort of a balance between the two. I think at the end though, we really wanted to prioritize good writing over the themes, but I think we managed to achieve somewhat a kind of balance anyway. I think the only thing that's probably missing from the collection are areas that nobody wrote about anyway.
Such as?
Say like gay KL, the gay scene in KL. That's one of the biggest areas that I can think of.
Right.
But I'm sure it cannot be an exhaustive collection anyway.
Sure.
But we tried our best to pick as many variations as possible. Okay. But there will be some areas that people write a lot, like, there'll be like 10, 20 stories about Chinatown.
Yeah.
Then we'll pick one.
And food. For example,
food has to be in there. So there is one actually called Char Kway Teow Satu. It's in there.
And also I saw one of the titles is Rempet.
Again, that's something that's part of KL as well. So
right.
We were quite happy to include it. Yeah.
And a lot of these writings are, of course, contemporary observations, right?
Actually, no. Most of them are. But there is one which is about 1960s KL. Jennifer Tai's Small Mother. So, actually, most of the stories were contemporary. So, of course, we would have liked more, from the past kind of thing.
Right. But that's an interesting observation, though. I mean, people forget that Kuala Lumpur, it's been around since the late 1900s.
Yeah.
The late 19th century.
Yeah.
Right? When Yap Aloy opened it up and then, kind of developed it. So, as somebody who evidently is from Kuching, not technically from Kuching, but grew up in Kuching.
Yeah.
Like, what are your own observations about, your imagination of how KL has changed?
Okay, maybe I can make a reference to one of the stories in here, which actually, incidentally, is one of my favorites.
What a nice seg into the content of the book.
Sorry?
What a nice way to seg into the actual book.
I didn't do it on purpose. I just thought it'd be a good example because I really like this story. It's Ho Sui Jim's Baby Elephants in a Playground. And I actually think this is set in the 80s. He doesn't say it is, but it feels like it is because of the references he makes to, say, terrestrial TV, for example. Sorry, no offense, but who watches terrestrial TV anymore, right? Everybody's watching Astro. But in his story, he talks about these two kids who are, waiting to watch cartoons, and then the, prayers will come on and news, that sort of thing. So you're like waiting. And I remember that from my own childhood, even though it was in Kuching.
Right.
So
where they did also have terrestrial TV.
And they didn't have TV3 till very late.
Okay. So but now everyone has Astro.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that contrast there that kids probably don't have. Like, I would say KL in the 80s, you basically have no Astro. You don't have a lot of things. You don't have the internet and all that. So in that aspect, I suppose there is a difference. I mean, I'm sure kids these days, if they read that particular story, they'll be thinking, oh, how strange, like these two kids are waiting to watch a particular cartoon program, when these days you have DVDs, you can do all sorts of other things rather
Right.
than sit and wait for a program.
Unfortunately, some people ask, oh, why would you want to read a book when you can watch a movie, for example?
Exactly. But
How do you feel about that?
As in?
As an editor, like, the whole idea of people consume culture slightly differently, and where's the place of books in Malaysian
Actually, I have to
society?
confess, I watch a lot of TV myself, but I don't think it's a new phenomenon. I mean, it's always been there. I mean, even in the 19th century, of course, then they didn't have television and all that, but it was also this sort of tussle between the kind of books that you would read, like trashy or highbrow or stuff like that.
Right.
So every time some new medium comes in, like television or radio, it
Or
always
now internet.
threatens. Yeah, it
Like,
always threatens.
yeah.
Like radio comes in, it's like, oh no, end of civilization as we know it, because nobody's gonna read. Then TV comes in, oh no, even worse. But I don't think it does any real damage. I think as long as people continue to read and they get their knowledge from all types of sources, I don't think it's any real danger that people wouldn't read anymore.
Would you see a second collection, maybe, of
We've been asked that, but to be honest, we don't have any
plans so far?
immediate plans. Yeah, I mean, next time maybe we don't want to keep sort of revisiting the same kind of theme.
Right.
Maybe next time.
Maybe a story about kucing.
Possibly.
Or actually, people focus too much on KL sometimes. You
Yeah.
know, for Malaysia, maybe stories about Penang or
Possible.
Malacca or Johor
Because of course.
or Perak. Kuala Kangsar.
I mean, it would be
Yeah.
nice because actually we're actually doing it hasn't been publicized that well yet,
Yeah,
but we're
yeah.
doing a new anthology on travel stories,
Okay.
and that's open to the whole of Malaysia. So
Okay.
I mean, it will be basically covering all the states.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, commercially speaking, the reason we chose KL is because it's the biggest city in Malaysia, and
Yeah.
everybody's interested in KL. I mean, it's commercial, so
yeah.
you gather that more people would buy it in that case.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show,
Well, thanks for having me.
and all the best with the book.
All right, thank you.
The unwelcome word of the week is kerek. Kerek. Arrogant. Someone who is kerek will be more likely to action. The dictionary defines it as a pulley, to lift up heavy objects with the aid of wheels. Now, how did this ingenious mechanical contraption come to mean arrogance? Perhaps there is the smugness that comes from easy work. I should have warned him that he was going to get kencing, but he's so kerek that I thought, to hell with the
GY.